we're getting into a time where the masses are just creating an echo chamber of voices on the internet that are just simply going to be, parroting lies back and forth to each other. And it's just going to sound like echoes in a cave. It's going to be a bunch of half truths or a bunch of disinformation that they're all just constantly saying out there on the internet. And when you're older, you're wise enough to know whether or not something may or may not be true, or even if you're not sure, if it doesn't actually impact your life, you really don't care, you can move on. When you're young, you're very impressionable, and it's very possible for you to get caught up in whatever, information is out there. I've seen it just recently. I've seen it time and time again throughout time, but I've seen it just recently mostly with the Charlie Kirk thing, which is still going on, where so many young people are being influenced by so many people on the internet, whether they're really, really well known and famous and have built up a following over the last 10 years or so, or whether they're new to the market and they're gaining fame because they're touching on this trending topic and they're putting out a bunch of videos that are establishing a ton of content around this topic. And they're coming up with all these different theories as to how he got killed. And they're coming up with little pieces of information that they're calling evidence. And they're creating all these theories that have no backing, or, that piece of evidence is the only backing that it possibly has, but it's circumstantial at best. And they're just putting it out there. And the young people are impressionable. They're eating it up. They're believing that that's the truth, and they're running with it. And they're going out there and they're telling other people, and the lie gets spread further and further until it becomes semi-true. That's the old saying, is you tell a lie long enough and loud enough and eventually becomes true. And that's a problem. We don't want that in the future of America. We want the truth to get out. Obviously, this information is going to get out. There's always going to be such a thing as propaganda. There's always going to be such a thing as people trying to deceive each other for their own personal gain or the agenda of evil, whatever. And we're not going to stop that. But we're headed into a future, if enough voices don't stand up and say, we have to question a lot of what is on the internet because it's clearly not true.